Hello and welcome back to the ministry. This is Taj McCameron. Okay, today we are talking about the guardian spouses. This is an unusual word, but something's really been being brought to my attention and it's been bothering me for the past several days. And it was something I saw when I came in last night that really just made me push to come on and do this word today. I've been seeing this element of what it really is an element of a spirit of intimidation, okay? Where you're seeing a person that is either not getting attention, making their presence known to a person, even if they do not do anything, but their sheer presence in the atmosphere can make the other person fearful, okay? Next, I've been seeing an element of not so much if I can't have you, it's more of a escalation. It goes from kind, sweet, nice to being aggressive in a period of time where the person goes, or you see people go from being kind or acting in an intimidating manner, where maybe the person is from somebody's past and they approach them. Maybe they're a person that is new and they linger, or maybe it's the person's spouse or significant other, and it's assumed by everybody else that everything's good with this person. But it's going from, I'm here, I'm observant, I'm even going to a point of acting in a spirit of Leviathan where they'll make the other person think, well, you did this, so why would you think that I did anything? But then insert themselves in the person's everyday life by making their presence known. They can't approach the person, so they approach somebody else associated with them that will easily open a door for them because they know that that person never will. But ending up directly in the presence of the person that refuses to let them in. And lastly, I've been noticing a level of domestic violence. The reason I'm addressing this is domestic violence is not something that is anything anyone should play with. A couple years back, I wrote a piece that at this point in time, I'm praying about when the Lord allows me to release it. I'm coming to you humbly because, listen, I was adopted. This is something I've never hidden it from anybody. But the reason my birth mother didn't raise me isn't because she didn't want to. Matter of factually, she wanted me more than anything. The problem was she ended up in a domestic violence situation that led her to do something that caused her to end up going into a brain aneurysm. And she didn't survive because she was in a domestic violence situation. And let me tell you something about domestic violence. But I'm going to tell you more about the spirit behind that. Sometimes the devil wants to take you out so badly that he'll position a person into your life to make sure that you never see light of day. But when God is involved, God is involved. He's going to make sure that what he wants to happen happens, regardless of what the devil wants to position himself to do. Okay? My birth mother never married my birth father. My birth mother got in a relationship with him. But from my understanding, she became involved with someone else, meaning her and the guy that she was, the guy that was my father that she was supposed to be involved with. She removed herself from him. From one of the family member stories I heard is that she removed herself from him and became or was introduced to somebody who approached her, much like this type of scenario I've been talking about, made their presence known, lurked around her, and then became, just like in the Temptations movie, became a source of confusion, like Harley was, that would always comment, would always bring, he brought a specific level of comfort until you found out who he was. And this is what happened to my mother. And by the time she was involved with this person, she was too heavily involved that she was pregnant at the time. She really didn't know or have an option, or so she felt. And this particular person had moved into her home. Okay? So she felt fear from this particular person. Not to mention she was carrying me. Now, one would say if you're carrying a child, you should protect that child at all costs. How do you protect a child from a person that, especially, in these domestic violence scenarios, these people can somehow manage to find you no matter what? They track your habits, they track where you go, where you're coming, all this kind of stuff. Yes? How do you run from that? And then on top of it, they threaten you if you're still with them, that if you leave, they'll do X, Y, and Z. Right? So, this is what happened to my mother. And the reason she had brain aneurysm was because she had dealt with several hits to the head from being banged up against a wall by this man trying to choke her. And she was heavily in the midst of her pregnancy when this happened. And this one hit that she took the next day, she ended up falling out from a brain aneurysm. She was about 7.5 months pregnant. It's only the grace of God that they got me out. But she never saw me. Ever. Why am I talking about this? Domestic violence is not something that you play with. I don't care if it's happening to a woman. I don't care if it's happening to a man. And this is where I'm coming from. I saw a meme that a family member of mine had posted, and it actually just perturbed me due to the fact of what they commented underneath it for their own psyche. Because it was a man silhouette slapping a woman in the face and vice versa, literally doing harm to her. And with this supposedly funny comment underneath of it. And I'm sitting there like, one, why would you ever post this? Two, you're laughing at it. But the fact that this keeps coming up. I was watching my show Equalizer last night? No, it was the night before last. And it was a similar situation. A woman was in an abusive relationship and she refused to break up the household because she didn't know, nor did she have the funds to take care of herself and her son without her husband. But her husband was beating on her for dumb reasons. You bought turkey instead of beef. While he was arguing at her, the sauce burned. So he said, oh, the sauce is burnt, so now I can't eat that. And then he got into a huge fight with her about it. I don't know if any of you are dealing with domestic violence. But my prayer for you, if you are, I need you to lay hands upon yourself and pray. Pray that the Lord release you from the bondage of that spirit, because it's a spirit of domination and intimidation that really is in charge. You more than likely have a prophetic gift, and this spirit comes to smother that out. Okay? And it comes with fear, intimidation, and dominance to smother you. Because if it can't stop you, it's going to attempt to smother or prevent you from moving forward in fear. But you said this was about the kingdom spouses. I'm getting there. Because what I'm about to say is in relevance to some of your kingdom spouses. Maybe some of your kingdom spouses, and you know a man that's in a situation like this. Now, most of the time we think of domestic violence, we think of it as a woman, right? But I'm about to flip the script on you for a moment. And don't get anti or major feminist on me. Well, that's the problem. This, that, and the other. Y'all want to get these men so much, blah, blah, blah. But it's the women that are being... So you're saying men shouldn't be addressed for the fact that there are actually men going through the exact same thing? Let me bring your attention to some things. So I walked in last night to sit down and have dinner, and my dad was watching Andy Griffith, and I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, because it's something he watched. But in this particular episode, there was this guy, and he was a little slow, but they were trying to help him gain understanding about some things. Now, it's a little funny about this guy. But catch this. The guy, Andy and his partner were having a conversation about this guy. And about the fact that the woman that he was interested in took a ruler and hit him. And the moment she hit him, he said, I'm in love with you. Okay. Now, they were laughing jokey, but they were talking about, oh, he started to fall for her when she hit him. He didn't have no affection for her prior to that, and became a little bit obsessive with her and was in love with her and kept throwing rocks through her windows, consistently kind of keep telling her he was in love with her. You see how this ties in right here? But as they were talking about him, they made the connection. It's like they sat down with him and said, why would you think that this person loves you when they hit you? And he said, oh, I mean, I don't know. And Andy sat down and asked him a question. He said, was your mother abusive to you? He said, oh, yes, my mom was very abusive to me. Some of you wonder why some of these men have taken a while. And this is another reason why it's taken them a while. Some of these men, one, were abused as children by their female parent. Could have been a female parent, sibling, whoever was an authority in the household. Because what they did, and I'm about to get into some word on this, was they dominated their authority over this child by thereby using toxic authority. Think about how a abusive partner works. They beat you, then they show love to you. So when they tell you wrong, they will then beat you and show love. Some of your partners may have gone through this level of abuse, but when they grew up, they never were admittant of this abuse. But due to how generational curses work, a man that was abused like this from a mother, especially when you have a good young boy who wants to do nothing but please or has a good heart, may in turn become attracted to a dominating woman. Okay? They will be attracted to a dominating woman. And this may transition into having some type of, what am I saying? They're one, attracted to someone that has dominance. Two, they are submissive. Three, that woman will be the kind that maybe it's not a level of abuse physically, but is verbally, but it's similar to what their mama did to them. Okay. Next, the woman may even have a level of dominance in the bedroom, and your God-ordained spouse may have liked that. And it's funny because I was watching an episode of my show that came on right after this, Follow Me. And it was talking about this guy and the fact that the character was making the point of the person, the female was chaste. The female was kind. She was nice. She was sweet. And I'm going to tie it back around. In the episode of Andy Griffith, the guy that was being or was hit by the teacher or hit by the female, he was already tracking for another chick. And the woman that he was tracking for, Andy had to turn around and tell him, you want the nice girl. You don't want the one that's hitting you. Some of you God ordained spouses have been through trauma to the degree that even your niceness makes them afraid. Wait, I'm not going to get abused in this relationship? Wait, I'm not going to get tormented in this relationship? Wait, this person actually wants to appreciate me in this relationship? Because the other one, oh, she was a dominatrix in the bedroom. Probably might have been into a little bit of S&M in the bedroom. And they liked that because they were covered by a mama that abused them. They saw love in hurt. They saw love in pain. They saw love in this. Then so they got involved with a toxic woman. And it was all right because it was in the bedroom. But then the woman started what? Hitting them in public or hitting them otherwise. But because they mama used to hit them, they were okay with that. And even if they weren't okay with that, like they were with their mama, they weren't going to fight it because that same feeling is there, because I can't fight this person as a female. I can't fight this woman because it's a female. Because you're always taught to love, care, and protect your woman. So they're still having those implanted feelings of, I should take care of this person, but this person is beating and abusing me. Well, some of y'all might sit up there and say, oh, but this is where you run into that toxic man that turns around and he starts beating on a woman. Some don't turn toxic. Some are the ones that are being abused. And they never turn toxic. Matter of factly, women like this will turn around and try to provoke a man. I was listening to Prophetic Poetry, and she did a video called Black Widow and something else. And in it, she talked about this type of woman will try to provoke a man into being aggressive, especially if they're kind and sweet and nice. They will try to provoke them. Well, you ain't nothing. You ain't this. Remember when I was doing a review of that Beyonce song, Ring the Alarm? In it, she was talking about, if you ever do this to me, I'm going to get these people and do all this. But then turns around in the chorus of the song and say, but don't you see that I love you, though? With all the tears and the crying and all this stuff. I mean, and she even talks about being accusatory. It's like, I was in your face and I accused you of this, that, and the other. The whole song talks about that. She accusing the guy of stuff. It's like, I'm pressing these buttons, but you can't answer my questions. I bet you will. I bet you if you do, then you gonna what? Because I'm going to get my people and we going to do this to you. Toxic, huh? From a female. But then in the chorus, what she say? But can't you see that I love you, though? With tears. Can't you tell that I'm in love with you? That sounds like a female, narcissistic female that is abusing a man, right? It's the reverse of what you see happen with a woman that's being abused. Because sometimes they don't have to put their hands on you. But I bet you whoever she is, will put their finger in their face and threaten them. Put their finger in their face and accuse them. Put their finger in their face and fight with them. hit them, throw things at them. But because they're a man and know that they have more body strength and all this kind of stuff, and they were used to it from their mama, who showed them toxic, they try to hug and they be thrown around, pushed away as a kid. They grow up to be adults. That when this woman is throwing stuff at you, what does he do? He grabs her and holds her. He grabs her and hugs her. He grabs her and what? And she do what? Turn around and hit him, accuse him, throw things at him. But then after she done with her temper tantrum, she come up and be like, but can't you see that I love you? Right? So this man ends up attracted through pride, because that's what it is, to this woman. Oh, I'm going to get involved with this powerful woman. I'm going to get involved with this. I'm going to get involved with that. Aren't 9 times out of 10 these females end up being the Jezebelic person? And Elisa Marie took us another step further. I was listening to one of her videos, and I never thought about this while I was listening to it. She talked about how there are people that may be lurking around your God-ordained spouse. The way she put it is, the woman wants to dominate. And prophetic poetry talked on this point too. The woman wants to be such a dominant figure in the man's life that they want to become a god to them. Now, the way Elisa Marie talked about it was that the person wants to have a motherly aspect about them. Meaning, she went as far as to say that in witchcraft element, having the man ingest her bodily fluids. Now, I'm not talking just about the sexual ones. I'm talking about if there is a child involved, maybe the woman had kids and she, was breastfeeding. The woman would share, and as we know, in marriage, when you're married to a man, this is a known fact that women will sometimes have the men suck on their, in order to get the flow of the milk. But think if that was used as a weaponized factor, and this person is using it as an element of dominance over this man. Because that's what she was really literally saying. She was literally mothering the man. Because the way Elisa Marie put it is that this person wants to be so dominant in the person's life that they want to be maternal. Act as a mother. Now, what y'all probably sitting up here wondering, okay, where the Bible in this? It's not going to take me much longer to get to the Bible part. Remember Rebecca? Remember when I did that review on Rebecca momentarily when I was talking about Jacob, Hercules, and Samson? I talked about the fact that Rebecca, now everybody remembers Rebecca. Oh, Rebecca's the one that she married the man the same day. But do you recall what I talked about the fact that she was told that she was going to have 2 sons and one was going to be over the other one? So she reared one son, the kind one, the submissive one, the reader, into being her favorite child. The Herculean one, she allowed the father to be closer to. But this one, Jacob, she kept him close. So close that when she came to the realization, pay close attention, when she became to the realization that Jacob was falling for Rachel, do you think that she was happy about that? Because think about it. It was her own brother who had Rachel and Leah. Remember, Rebecca said she kept him close. Remember that Rebecca said to her husband, oh, I don't want him falling in love with one of these Hittite women. I want him to go and find somebody that's right. But then he falls for Rachel. Do you think, and I'm just questioning this, do you think that maybe, just maybe, Rebecca, whose brother was the father of Rachel and Leah, might have had something to do with the fact that Leah was in that bed and not Rachel that night? Do you think that maybe Rebecca was in control of that situation? You think maybe Rebecca didn't want Jacob with Rachel because then she would no longer have a level of control over him? Because he was in love with Rachel. And it was her brother that blocked. So just because we didn't hear about Rebecca, do you think Rebecca may not have interfered? Let's take it another step. I'm going to go into another video. Hold on.